Welcome to this third session of Karma Yoga, the third Adhyaya. Let us start with the gratitude to the Lord, with whose grace this is possible, and the Guru Shishya Parampara, our ancient Indian wisdom lineage through which this knowledge has been protected for years and passed on from generations. Pay my respects to our Guruji, Pujya Guruma, with whose grace I am able to learn these scriptures and share my understanding with you. We will start with a prayer. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So the third Adhyaya, as you know, is the Adhyaya of Karma Yoga, the path of action, as highlighted in the first initial part of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in the first 6 Adhyayas. The second Adhyaya was the Sankhya Yoga, the path of knowledge, in which initially it starts with Arjuna Vishada and then his acceptance of Shishyatva, disciplehood of Shri Krishna, Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Pratam Prapannam, and then the Jnana Updesha, which is the summary of the Upanishada, the Updesha of the soul, the Atma, and the Anatma Viveka, and then the Updesha of the Aikya Jnana, which is the Jnana of the Upanishadas. And finally, Shri Krishna tells Arjuna to do his duty according to his dharma, according to his kartavya. That is also actually the beginning of Karma Yoga, but actually the Karma Yoga starts from the 38th slok, where there is a turning point. In 38, 39 to 53, there is description of various aspects of Karma Yoga. The main principles, 4 principles, are highlighted in the 47th shloka. And then finally, Lord describes the condition of Sthita Prajna, an enlightened person, a wise man, who what are his or her characteristics, attributes, so that we seekers can learn from this person and put it in our practice. The third Adhyaya is the Karma Yoga Adhyaya. It starts with Arjuna's question. You see in the second Adhyaya, Lord talks about Jnana as well as Karma, and finally talks about the Jnana, Sthita Prajna, which is the ultimate situation, ultimate goal of a human life or a human being. And so Arjuna is confused and he asks Shri Krishna, what is it that he wants him to do? Whether he says, according to you, if Jnana is Shrestha, why should I go into this gruesome battle? Why should I do karma? Why not I just take sannyasa, go away and go for Jnana Sadhana and achieve this ultimate knowledge, the self-knowledge, the Atma Jnana? And to this response, in the third shloka, Shri Krishna says, Lokesmin Duvida Nishtha Pura Prokta Mayanaka. He tells about 2 Nishtha, the Jnana Nishtha and the Karma Nishtha, and then goes ahead and talks about Indriya Sanyam, Anasakti. And in the second session, we saw the 4 attitudes of Karma Yoga that Lord wants us to do karma with. The attitude of duty, the Kartavya Buddhi, the Yagna Buddhi, Prasada Buddhi, and the Dharma Buddhi. So these are all the things that so far we have covered. Just to reiterate again, all of you know what is Karma Yoga, but it is the skill, it is the karma karne ki ek kala hai. It's a skill in action and its results. Karma or karma phala, dono mein ek tarah ka, the skill that is needed. And this is not the outer skill. This is not the karma itself, the outer karma. We don't have to change our outer karma. We have to do the karma, whatever we are doing, whatever is our duty, wherever we are in different roles of our life. But what we need to do is change the inner attitude by which we do this karma, the bhavana behind the karma, and what is it that is going on in our mind. That is something we need to change, and this change has to occur not just towards the action, but also towards the karma phala, or the fruits or the results of these actions. So wherever there is karma, there is always an expectation of a karma phala. So we have to change our attitude towards both the karma as well as the karma phala. So in the first three shlokas, Arjuna's question, and Lord answers that there are two nishtha for karma yoga people, for person who are inclined towards karma, and most of us are inclined for action, worldly action. We are people in karma. So for most of the people, karma yoga is the message, and Lord highlights this message in repeatedly all throughout these adhyayas, where he says karma yoga is very important sadhana for almost all people who are in the karma. But for only those rare people who are who are eligible candidates for jnana, for them they can directly go to jnana yoga without going into karma yoga. Those who already have antakarana shuddhi, they don't have raga dvesha, they already have vairagya, their only goal is jnana and moksha, and they have already done this. So for these people, but there are some very few, probably less than 1% of the people would be eligible directly for Atma Jnana or Jnana Nishtha. Most of the times people have to go through Karma Yoga, most of the people have to go through the Karma Yoga Nishtha and go for Antakarana Shuddhi, the purity of the mind, inner self, taking care of all our Raga, Dvesha, Kama, Krodha, Mada, Matsarya, Mada. All this has to be taken care, and only then we can probably go to the Jnana Sadhana and ultimately obtain the Jnana. So this is the krama or the order, which is very important. Either it is Karma Yoga, Shuddhi, Jnana Nishtha, and then Jnana Sadhana, and then Jnana Nishtha, or person can go from the Jnana Nishtha directly to Jnana Sadhana and Jnana Nishtha. But ultimately Jnana is basically requires is the ultimate path to moksha, to salvation. Wherever one takes the Karma Yoga route or the Jnana Yoga route, the ultimate step is the Jnana, which is the most important to moksha. In the fourth shloka, Lord Krishna says, Karma tyag se bhi moksha nahi hai. You can't just leave karma. You can't go into inaction and think that you can have liberation or a shreya. You cannot also become a sannyasi and then hope that you will become you'll get moksha. So that's what he says in the fourth shloka. In the fifth shloka, he says, Nai kaschik kshanam api jatu karmanya tandritaha. Even for a moment, we cannot leave karma because we are all engrossed all the time in karma. And then he says that if somebody leaves karma tyaga immaturely, then he is a mithyachar, he is a hypocrite, and that is not something that he advises. But what he advises is what he says in the seventh shloka. Yastvindriyani manasa niyamya rabate Arjuna, means that what he wants us to do is indriya sanyam, number one, and karmendriyo yahi karma yogam asakta savishishyate. So karma yoga by being anasakta. Anasakta means unattached, without attachment to the fruits of the action, and with indriya sanyama we should do our karma, our desired duty that we have been given in this world. So this is the summary in a nutshell about what we have done so far. The four attitudes of Karma Yoga were described: the attitude of duty, the Kartavya Buddhi, the attitude of Runa Ada, the repayment of the debt, the Yagna, attitude of Yagna, as if we are offering our karma toward to the Almighty, the Supreme, as if we are giving an offering into the sacrificial fire like an Yagna. And this attitude is also called as a Ishwararpana Bhavana. So with this attitude, if we do karma all the time, remembering the Lord, that is the attitude of Yagna. And then when we receive the fruits of the action, we think that this is a prasada from the Lord, prasada buddhi. So we accept whatever comes to us, whatever is the result of the action, we accept it as a prasada buddhi without complaining, and we share this with everyone. And the fourth is the dharma buddhi, when he talked about the samsara vruksha, or the srushti chakra, annat bhavanti bhutani parjanyat dannam sambhavaha. And then finally he says, evam pravrutitam chakram nanuvartayati yaha. That is the srushti chakra which is going on, and we must put something, offering ourselves, contribute ourselves into this srushti chakra. So ultimately what Lord Shri Krishna wants from us is that one, we should get from inaction into action. Akarma se karma. So that is the first thing. Initially, of course, this could be a sakam karma for our own desires, for fulfilling our own selfish motives. That will generally be how we start into the karma. But finally, he wants us to go to more of selfless karma, which not just benefits us only, but also benefits the human being, others at large, which is done in the dharma, which is also would call as a dharma karma. With the selfish karmas or sakam karma are done with our likes and dislikes, our strong likes and dislikes. But the dharma karma is not done according to our raga, dvesha, or our likes and dislikes. Sakama karma is the nature of these kind of karma or actions is to bind the person, because it creates samskara, then again it inspires them to do more and more karma. Whereas the dharma karma, which is done to neutralize the raga, dvesha, which is done with the nishkama bhavana, leads to freedom, it leads to upliftment. So the sakama karma may lead to destruction, because this is all about worldly, selfish motives, desires, but they may not be satisfied all the time and may lead to krodha, sometimes himsa, and may destroy. He has said, Dhyayato Vishayan Pulsa Sangaste Shupajayate. Earlier, Lord Krishna has already said which are the 8 steps to ruin, how it can destroy us with a lot of sakam karma. But here, the dharma karma is an avenue where there is upliftment of our own self, because there is a purification of the inner mind by doing karma from the dharma buddhi, which neutralizes the raga, dvesha, and leads to upliftment. So these dharma karma would benefit others, not just us, and they are not selfish. So with this, in the 16th shloka, Lord Krishna says, Evan pravartitam chakram nanu vartayati hayah aghayurindriya ramo bhogam partha sajivati, meaning that there is this universal cosmic wheel which is going on, and we should do something. We should contribute something from our side to this wheel. Otherwise, if we don't contribute something, then it is like living a useless life, which is not of any worth or any value. So the benefits of karma yoga: 1, Lord Krishna says that it will make us nirapeksha. Nirapeksha means we don't have expectation. Apeksha causes a lot of miseries, sorrows and dukkha in our day-to-day life, because we expect that when we do something, we should be praised, or we should be thanked, or we should be, somebody should take care of this, take note of this. And these expectations are the root cause of a lot of our miseries and sorrows. So these can be avoided. Desires are the main reason which springs us to our thoughts, and from thoughts we go into action. So desires are the the root cause of most of the problems for us remaining in a lot of sakama karma, selfish actions. And these vasanas or desires, can be neutralized by understanding or doing the karma yoga with the karma yoga path. Dispassion or vairagya. Karma yoga also leads us to, because of its samatva, dharana, prasada buddhi, acceptance. With this, we develop a kind of dispassion, vairagya. We know that, what we need deeply is something which this world cannot offer us. And that's why that mahatva buddhi, that importance given to worldly objects, to persons, to relations, gradually goes down. And for the objects, we also try to see the samagra darshana, the pratipaksha bhavna. So we see it from an entire perspective, and see that something that immediately gives us pleasure or happiness is sometimes going to give us pain in the long run. Say for example, some food that a diabetic wants, a sweet. Suppose he is so fond of sweets, he may like it immediately, but from a long-term perspective, it is going to give him pain, because it will cause uncontrolled diabetes and the complications. So this samagra darshana, pratipaksha bhavana, to see the other side, to see the long-term perspective, it's something that we can develop with this karma yoga bhavana. And this ultimately leads to cleansing of our mind, neutralization of our raga, dvesha, and finally it makes us eligible to undergo the jnana sadhana in form of shravana, manana, nididhyasana from our guru, Vedanta Vakya. And this can lead us to our ultimate goal in our life, which is to understand our own self, understand our own supreme, see our own self, which is in tune, in one with the supreme self. So this is where once we know this jnana, this Atma Jnana, that is the time when Karma Yoga comes to an end for the Jnani. And that is what in this section or session Lord Krishna is going to talk about. So coming to the 17th shloka, Yastvatmaratirev syat atmatruptascha manavaha atmanyeva cha santushtaha tasya karyam na vidyate. So here Shri Krishna says, till what time, till when do we need to do this karma yoga according to this? What is that time? So here he says that the person who is Atmarati means he finds all his enjoyment in his own body. Atmatruptaha means a person whose desires have been contented in his own mind. He does not have to rely outside for his desires. Atmani eva santushtaha means who is completely satisfied, contented with his own self. That these three persons, for this person, tasya karyam na vidyate. For this person, there is no work, there is no duty, there is no karma yoga, there is nothing that he must do this, he should not do this. ऐसा कोई विधि निषेध वेद का जो भी this does not apply to this person. So this is a person who is already wise, who is already enlightened, who has already got the knowledge, the Atma Nishtha, who is already in the Atma Nishtha. So that wise enlightened person does not need karma yoga. So here our Guruji talks about what is the drashti bheda, the vision difference between the Ajnani and the Jnani. Ajnani is the unwise person or an ignorant person, somebody who has not understood the Atma Jnana. According to scriptures, that person is unwise or is ignorant. And somebody who knows his own Atma Swarupa, Atma Jnana, is the person who is the wise person or the Jnani. So Rati means the physical happiness that we get, jo Sharir Sukha kehte hain, physical happiness with the bodily happiness, the pleasures of the the physical union are all the Rati. And for an ignorant person, he is dependent on outside for his physical happiness with some other body, whereas the wise person his physical happiness is with his own self, with his or her own self. They don't have to worry, or they don't have to it's not dependent outside. Similarly, Atma Trupti, fulfillment of the desires. Trupti means fulfillment of the desires. For an ignorant person, it is outside, because he thinks that these objects are going to make me happy, these persons are going to make me happy, these my relations are going to make me happy. That's why they always, the ignorant person or the unwise person always tries to go outside, tries to get more objects, tries to get more, know more people, trying to inflate his own ego or pride. Whereas the person who is Jnani is Trupta in his own self, does not have to seek happiness outside, because he has understood his own self, his own Atma, which is the bliss or the Paripurna, it is Ananda Swarupa that he has known in his own self, and that's why he does not have to rely on somewhere outside. Similarly, Tushti means satisfaction or contentedness. So that is also for the ignorant person, it is outside, whereas for the Jnani it is inside. And so he is not dependent on, he is completely free. The Jnani person is completely free. He is for all this, happiness, joy, it's all inside. And that's why for an ignorant person, he always thinks like, if I would have done this, I would have been happy. If I would have done that, I would have been happy today. If I will do this today, tomorrow I'll be happy. And that's why he does all this, everything he does just to get happiness or make himself happy, or to get relieved of his miseries or sorrow. So this is how he lives. Either he lives in the past or he lives in the future. Whereas a person who is a wise or a Jnani always does whatever he does out of joy. He is always in a state of eternal bliss, and that is in the now. He is not dependent on his past or his future for happiness, and that's why he can enjoy the now and the bliss form of the present moment. So this is the main difference between how the unwise person thinks, what is his drashti, the vision, and what is the feeling, what is the thinking, what is the attitude of a wise or an enlightened person. Naiva tasya krute nartho na krute neha kaschana na chasya sarva bhuteshu kaschit artha vyapashrayah. So in this 18th shloka, Lord Krishna describes the wise person, that he does not have any motive. Now he is describing the Jnani Mahapurusha, that he does not have any motive in action or in inaction. Whether he does action or whether he sits quietly, there is no motive, there is no self-interest involved with the Jnani. Na eva tasya krutena artho, does not have any action to serve any purpose. Nothing, he doesn't have to do anything to achieve anything. कुछ करने जैसा उनको लगता नहीं है achieve करने के लिए. And if it does not have any purpose of not doing his karma, inaction में भी उनको कोई purpose नहीं दिख रहा है. So they don't have any कुछ करने जैसा या कुछ नहीं करने जैसा. For them it is the same. Sarvabhuteshu kaschit artha vyapashraya, means in this world, living with all the beings, they don't have any selfish motive to either acquire anything or to give anything. So there is no selfish motive in this world. That is the understanding of a Jnani Mahapurusha. So Jnani ki sthiti kaisi hai? That is being explained here. The wise person, he doesn't have any expectations, he is nirapeksha. Expectations is definitely the root cause of most of our miseries, and that's why this Jnani Purush does not have these kind of miseries or sorrow, because it does not expect much from other people. We can suggest to somebody else, but we must understand that we cannot change anyone, and because we keep expecting to change somebody, मैंने तो आपको बोला था, आपने ये किया नहीं है, आपको कितनी बार बताया, बोला है, किया नहीं है. I am telling you so many times, you should change, you should do this, you should do that. This is what most of us keep on doing to people around us, especially to our loved ones. And this desire to change others is the root cause of most of our own problems. And we should also understand the difference between an obsession to get a karma phala or to change others and our own firm decision making. Because we feel that we are a very determined person, because we want that others should change, but our determination should be used to change our own self, not to change others. So this kind of understanding, viveka, this understanding is very, very important. And whatever situation arises in our life, and whatever is the result of that, we have to accept it. Most of the problems occur because we don't accept the situation and try to fight with the situation, and that creates a lot of struggle in our life. Acceptance is golden, and acceptance gives us a lot of peace, whatever is the situation. And many times even let going things, our own mind tells us that when we let go, we give something, so something reduces from us, and that's why it makes us miserable. But actually that's not true. It's the opposite is true actually, that when we give something, we give out of love, do something for others, help others, give away some of our things, help the needy people, then that gives us a lot of peace of mind. So giving is more peaceful for us, and that is what we should do. The other thing is that the Jnani Mahapurush does not major on minor things. Small things का जो कहते हैं ना कि बातों का बतंगड़ बना देते हैं. So small things should remain small. We should not give it a big swarup. Because of our ego issues, we make this as a very, very inflatable thing and make it a very large issue, and creates a quarrel between husband and a wife, or between children and the parents. So this could be a small issue, can be easily resolved in a much more dignified manner. And then they are fearless, they don't have any bhaya, because they have understood their Atma Swarupa. They know that the Atma Swarupa is never destroyed, it is Lord always. Already Shri Krishna in the second adhyaya said, Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, naichainam kledayantyapo. So it is indestructible. Avinashi tu tadvidvi, yena sarvamidam tatam. So it is avinashi, there is no need to fear, because this Jnani Purush has understood that his own self is something that is eternal. He is not identified himself with this body. And that's why he lives in a state of complete freedom, swatantraya. And this swatantraya of a Jnani comes from a sahaj sanyama, because he has a lot of control over his indriya, mind, senses, and his actions are all within control, and that's why he develops this is under param swatantraya or complete freedom. And that's why this Jnani Purush does not have any duty actions. वो करेंगे तो भी अच्छा है, नहीं करेंगे तो भी अच्छा है. They are not impelled or compelled to do duties, that they don't have any duty, कर्तव्य कि ये करना ही है. जैसे So it is not for them. So that's why there is a limit of the karma. When they get the jnana, then they are relieved from all this duty, kartavya and karma. So Shri Krishna in the next shloka says, Tasmad asakta satatam karyam karma samachara asakto yacharan karma paramapnoti purushaha. So that's why this is a call to do karma yoga. Shri Krishna says, you do your karma without attachment. Karyam karma samachara. Do your duty, kartavya karma in the best possible manner. Samyak acharaha. Asakta hi acharan karma means do your karma without getting attached, without attachment to the karma phala. Attachment is to the karma phala. Param apnoti purusha. And with this, if you keep doing this karma according to the karma yoga principles that Shri Krishna has said, he says, you will attain the highest goal of your life. Param pada. Param apnoti. Which is the moksha, the Paramatma. So Arjun must have surely got confused how just by doing karma yoga I can get moksha. But before that, let us understand what is kartavya karma. Duty in action is the one which is done without our likes and dislikes, without the raga dvesha. But by the understanding that there is no duty which is happy, sad, superior, inferior. Whatever is the duty, it is for me, I must do it. Whether there is no duty like big duty or small duty, all duty is the same. It is a duty, kartavya karma, and I must do it in the best way. And a great job is a small work done with great dedication, and it's not a great job done. This is a famous sentence of Mother Teresa that, so every small little thing can be done in a very, very nice, dedicated way with a lot of dedication, with a lot of understanding, with our complete focus, attention. So it becomes a great job. So that is what is the kartavya karma or duty in action. And this duty must be done with asakta bhavana. Asakta means without attachment. Now, attachment, karma is the nature of all human beings. So we are all into karma and we all do karma. But this karma tyaga, or just to remain in inaction, to renounce karma or to get into sannyasa. Scriptures never tell us to leave actions. Scriptures, Veda, Upanishads and Sri Bhagavad Gita always tells us to remain in karma. And it says just like a fruit, when it is matured, it falls off on its own. So essentially, when the karmas become ripe, when the person becomes ripe by the sadhana of karma yoga, and naturally when it becomes ripe, he will naturally leave the karma for the jnana sadhana. So that will come very naturally. It is not something that, it's not like you have to pluck that fruit when it is unripe. It has to become ripe and then that fruit will automatically fall off. So that is the process. So Shastra never tells us to leave karma, and karma tyag is not something that Shastra anytime gives us agya. But what we need to do tyaga, what we need to let go is the karma phala. The attachment to the karma phala is something that is the main problem that binds us and that makes our karma as a bondage. And so leaving this attachment or let going this attachment to the results or the fruits of the action is something that Lord Krishna tells us to do. And the second thing that we have to let go, apart from karma phala, attachment, asakti, is the kartrutva. Kartrutva means the doership feeling, that kartapana bhavna, aham karomi, I am doing this. Iti, this bhavna, this kartrutva, and this ego is the problem, and this doership feeling or the pride behind the karma is what keeps us bound to this karma, and that's why we have to let go of this kartrutva bhavana, and we have to do the karma yoga with a karma yoga attitude, with a nimitta bhavana, that Lord is doing this through me, He has given me this opportunity, so I am doing it. So this is the way we can gradually get out from this kartrutva bhavana, by taking care that Lord has created so many things, there are so many other people who are contributing, and Lord has given me everything so that I can do this karma. So that nimitta matra bhavana must come in, and which can help us to do this karma yoga. Satatam, nirantara. Satatam means nirantara, and in this statement, tasmat asakta satatam karyam karma samachara, satatam can be applied to three. When you do the anvaya in Sanskrit, the word necessarily does not need to, whenever it is present in the sentence, is not just related to the next word, but it could be applied to any of the other words. So this satatam could be applied to asaktaha, could be applied to karyam karma, it could be applied to samachara. So this is how you can do anvaya in three ways of these sentence and understand the meaning in three different ways. So when you apply the anvaya satatam karyam karma means do your duty continuously. Satatam means nirantara, continuously. So karyam karma means your duty, you keep doing your duty. That is what Lord tells us. The second way you can do the anvaya is karyam karma satatam anat asaktaha. Means do it always without attachment. All your duties you do it without attachment. That is the second way of looking at it. And the third way of looking at it is karyam karma satatam samachara. Samachara means do it well, samyak achara. Do it in the best possible way with utmost dedication. So do your duty continuously with dedication. So always do it with dedication. That is the third way of doing this anvaya. So in this way we can understand that Lord tells us to do our duty constantly, to do it always without attachment, and to do it always with utmost dedication. That is what he is trying to tell us in this shloka. Karmanaiva hi sansiddhim asthita janakadayah loka sangrahamevapi sampashyan kartumarhasi. So after listening to the previous shloka, Arjuna must have thought that, Lord, you are telling me karma karte raho aur moksha mil jayega. How is this possible? You give me some examples. How is this possible that through karma yoga you can obtain moksha? So here in this shloka, Lord Shri Krishna gives an example and he says, yes, karma can lead to moksha, and he gives an example of King Janaka. Janakadaya means Janaka and many others who have obtained moksha like this. Karmana hi sansiddhim. Only with karma, by doing karma without attachment, of course the normal karma, sakam karma can never lead to moksha. They reach their final goal. And how do they do this karma? They do it for the welfare of the people at large. You know that King Janaka, Videha Raja, he was father of Sita ji, and he was a very good king. He was doing noble things for his kingdom, for his people at large, and he was a Gnani also. He was a knowledgeable person, because only through Gnan you can lead to moksha. Just Karma Yoga itself doesn't lead to moksha. It's Karma Yoga, Gnana and then moksha. That is the sequence. So he was a Gnani, and you do this in the best interest of your own self by doing this karma without attachment, and then you can lead to moksha. So here again Lord Krishna tells about both this lokesmin dvida nishtha. The two types of nishtha is already said, the pravrutti nishtha and the nivrutti. So Janaka was a householder, he was a pravrutti nishtha. So in a pravrutti also he could obtain the karma yoga nishtha, go to gnana yoga, and then from there he could do the gnana sadhana and develop the gnana nishtha and atma gnana which was needed. And this is through the gnana sadhana, which is through shravana, manana and nididhyasana. So there are two types of nishtha is already said, and this is again, he tells us that even in the pravrutti, householders, they can also do this same sadhana. The sadhana is the same for householders or for the sannyasis. So pravrutti marg as well as for nivrutti marg, both are eligible. They both can go to the moksha, that is the final liberation, which is ultimate atma gnana, knowing our own self, our own eternal bliss self, our own self which is nitya, which is sat, chit and ananda. So this is the ultimate goal of our human life. And then in the next shloka, Shri Krishna says, Yadyadacharati shreshtaha tat devetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastadanu vartate. So he tells Arjuna that people follow what great men do. And he says, Yadyadacharati shreshtaha means what the most honorable people do, the leaders, how they act, how they behave in their life. Other people, itara janaha, tat eva, means other people or the followers, they will just follow the same thing. Most of the masses are just followers. He talks about people, understands that people have this herd mentality. Somebody does this, okay, chalo, let me also do this. So that kind of followers, people keep following. Sayat pramanam kurute, whatever examples they set, the leaders have a very important role because they set examples. All human beings follow the same behavior. So that's That's what he's trying to tell Arjuna. You are a great warrior, you are a Shreshta Purusha. It does not befit you to run away from the battlefield. And then people will also follow your footsteps. They will say, Arjuna ne aisa kiya tha. Why should we fight any of our life battles? Why should we not run away? He says, this is not good for you. The leaders in their field have a certain kind of responsibility with them, and they should do whatever is best so that other people will also follow this kind of behavior. And then it comes to what drives the human behavior. What are those instincts that drive our human behavior? Most of the times we are driven by our nature. We say that this is my prakriti, this is my swabhava, I am just doing this is my nature, so that's why I behave like this. But this swabhava, this prakriti is formed by a lot of impressions which are called samskaras, which have developed right from our childhood, right since we became aware of the surroundings, the world. We started developing these samskaras, and this samskara is based on our strong likes and dislikes. Whatever experiences we had with this world, we had these samskaras. This I like this, I don't like this, and that's why all these samskaras are there. And these are called raga dvesha. And they are very strong. They operate in a way even we are not aware about how they operate, and they drive our behavior. So what happens is that we instinctively behave or react or act as how we like to do, what we like to do, and we avoid what we don't like to do. So this is our behavior based on our raga dvesha. And most of the times we all behave based on these our raga dvesha. And others, we also try to think that others should also do what I like and should not do what I don't like. So this is the problem. And this creates a lot of confusion, lot of miseries and sorrow, because we want to try control others also. We also want others what they should do, when they should, what they should do when. We want to control that, which is not just possible. And this is the person who operates from a very strong raga dvesha. But there are other people who would operate from what is called as a dharma. Dharma means that this is what I am supposed to do. Dharma says this is something hita, this is what you should do. There is something which is nishiddha, you should not do. There is ethicality and morality in dharma. So if we follow this, what needs to be done, we should do, rather than what I like, I should do what I need to do, what I ought to do, what I should do. That is that can be called as a dharma. So on this basis, we do, rather than based on our likes and dislikes. Now the question can come is, what is dharma, and who decides this dharma, and how do I know what is dharma, what I should do in a real life situation, whether this is dharma or this is not dharma. So how dharma can be decided? How can we know what is dharma, what I should do, what I should not do? So for this we have Shastra, and Shastra are considered to be the pramana, the evidence based on which we can decide what needs to be done, what need not be done. And amongst the Shastras there are different levels of pramana, there are different levels of evidences. The highest level of evidence is what is called as the Veda Shastra, which is the Shruti Shastra. So Shruti Shastra is given the first level of evidence, the Veda Shastra, from Veda, the Upanishad Shastra and the Vedanta, everything that is, which are also called Apaurushe, means they are not created by human beings, they are created by the Lord Himself, and but very few are available today. Second is called the Smruti Shastra. Smruti Shastra are the ones which have been written by the Rishi Munis. So they are not written by the Lord but by the Rishi Munis. And these Smruti Shastras can be Itihas Shastra like Ramayana, the Mahabharata. Second, this can be Puranas. There can be several types of Smruti Shastra like but they are also quite limited available. Satpurush Acharan, Sadachara, which is the, we can actually see the Satpurush, how they behave, what is their behavior, and this is available to all. We have to know that who is the Satpurush, and those kind of wise people, how they conduct themselves in this world is available for most of us. And the fourth way how we can decide dharma, which normally in our vyavahara, when we say, listen to your inner voice, listen to your, that will tell you what is right, what is ethical, what is moral. But this in our Shastra says that this inner voice will tell the correct thing only for the person who is rooted in dharma. For somebody who is who is always doing wrong things, adharma, is always doing violence, he's a murderer, if he listens to he doesn't have an inner voice, otherwise he would not be indulging in such activities. So for that person, Shastra says that inner voice does not tell you what is to be done is dharma. Only for a person who is deeply rooted in dharma, for that person the inner voice can be considered as a dharma. And what is that Shreshth Acharana? The leaders, the people who are at the top, those who are already well known in the field, they have a great responsibility, because the other people will tend to copy their behavior in any field. It could be in the worldly field, it could be in the Adhyatmic field, in the spiritual side. But these people, especially the parents, teachers and the leaders, have to be extremely careful, because Lord Krishna says here that the other people are going to learn from whatever we are doing. And more often people learn from actions rather than our words, especially children. So parents have to be extremely careful about their behavior, rather than what they are just instructing their children. That we tell them that you do this, you don't do this. But if we are the ones who are going to do the same thing that we tell them not to do, then they are not going to listen to us, because they observe our behavior, our actions rather than our words. So that is something that we need to take care of ourselves. Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nana vaptam avaptavyam varta eva cha karmani. So in this shloka, Lord Krishna gives example of his own self. Maybe Arjun must have thought we're talking of King Janaka so many years ago. That was many years ago. Can you give me some example now? And Lord Krishna says, why don't you look at me? He says, he gives his own example. Shankaracharya ji in his own bhashya also says that Lord Krishna tells him that you look at me, and he shows his lordship here in this shloka. He says, oh Arjuna, name kartavyam asti trishu lokeshu. I do not have any duty to perform in any of these three worlds. Right? Even then, nana vaptama aptavyam means I don't have anything to acquire and nothing not to acquire, nothing to give back to the society. I don't have any kuch karne jaisa hai nahi, fir bhi, even then, varta eva cha karmani, but still I am in action. I am doing all my duties, though I may do it, I may not do it. And he shows how he is Ishwaratva. He shows his pragat karte hai Arjun ke samne, and he shows that though I don't have any duty, I am here to do he has done all Ishta Krishna. If you see his life, his charitra, his character, all throughout his life, he has done all his duties in the best possible way. So here, Gnani, how they do karma, they have a very sahaj acharana. They live in this world, as if they don't have anything to gain or lose from this world. And they're full of compassion for all beings. If you see Shri Krishna's life also is full of compassion for the dharma, people who are rooted in dharma, like the Pandavas. They've always been very compassionate to help them, because they're following the dharma. And they do everything with a lot of enthusiasm. It is not that they do it just for the sake, because they don't have anything, there is no purpose or no motive in life. They don't do it as a lazy bum, or they don't do it with without proper passion or dedication. They do it in the best possible way, and this is how they inspire the unwise people to do the best actions, because they know that if they don't do action, then others will say that if they are not doing action, why should we be doing our karma? So they do karma and their actions for the welfare of the beings at large, and with a samatva bhavna, because they are not worried about the success or the failure, and they are nispruha, asanga, they are unattached from inside to the karma phala. So this is how they do the action, and they do an action like they are doing a role playing. Some say, for example, in a drama or in a movie, there are actors who play roles. So when they are in that role, they get involved completely with that role. They do it in the best possible way. But the moment the camera shuts or the screen comes, and the drama gets over, they go back to their own, original form or role, and they forget the drama role or the movie role. So this is how role playing, kind of the abhinaya, the people who are wise, they do this kind of role playing because they know that they are not this person, but still they play that role in a very very nice way with the best utmost dedication. यदि ह्यहं न वर्तेयं जातु कर्मण्यतन्द्रितः मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः. So here Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that if I don't perform my duties or my actions, atandritaha means without awareness, by being aware, then it will be a big loss, because manushya sarvashaha mama vartam anuvartante means all the human beings, they follow my path in all the ways. Say they all follow whatever I am doing and they want to come to me. So this is what Lord Krishna says, mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha. So atandritaha is a very nice word that Shri Krishna has used here, that and he says that tandra means sleepiness or tandra avastha. So atandrita means remaining alert, all the time alert, aware, remaining aware. So we should do our actions with a lot of awareness, and that awareness is, before we start doing the action, a lot of thought must be going into that action. What we should plan it, what could be the possible outcomes, we should evaluate before we start or indulge into the action. When actually we need to action it or execute the plan, we should not become lazy. We should keep a focus. We should keep reviewing that plan, what we are doing, and whatever is worth doing well. So we should do it with the best possible efforts. Our efforts should be best, and we should do every work in the best possible manner. So this is what is being atandritaha. This is how we should do our work, and that's what Lord Krishna tells us here. Utside yuri me loka nakuryam karma chedaham sankarasya cha kartasyam upahanya mimah prajaha. So he says, if I don't do this action, my inaction will destroy the social order and the universal harmony. That is what Lord Krishna says, that if I don't perform actions, then what can happen? He says, Utside yurime loka, means all these people will be destroyed. Destroyed means they won't be killed, of course, but they will not attain their goal of life. And sankarasya cha kartasya means that there will be a mixed population, a mixed race will be created. If I don't do my job, because others will also follow, they will also not do their duty, so everything will become total chaos in this world. And Sankara, as you remember in the first adhyaya, Arjuna had said that if I do this karma, if I do this war, then Varna Sankar will be created, the mixed population or mixed race will be created, because the dharma and the dharma of the Varna will be lost, and then it will create the Stri will become Dushita, and then this will create a mixture or a Varna Sankara. But here Lord Krishna says, if I don't do this karma, then there will be Varna Sankara. So I must do my karma. So that's he's trying to tell Arjuna also that you also do your karma in the best possible way. This is the karma yuddha, dharma yuddha hai. You have to fight this war, and that's why he says that I shall be responsible for destroying the entire human race. Ima praja upahanya. And that's why he tells Arjuna to do his karma in the best possible way. And how should we do this karma? By karma yoga. Sakta karmanya vidvanso yatha kurvanti bharataha kuryan vidvans tatha saktaha chikirshu loka sangraham. So he says, in the outer karma, while we are doing the karma, it's very difficult to differentiate a wise person and an unwise person. Because Lord Krishna tells here that a wise person should do the karma in similar way to an unwise person outwardly. By outer action, you will not know the difference. So he says, Yatha advidvansa sakta karmani, just like an ignorant or an unwise person who is attached to the karma, to the results of the action, performs his action. So, for example, we can say how the politicians, when they fight elections, how they are attached to the power, they are so greedy, they want to do at any cost, they want to win this election. So how they are attached. Similarly, Lord Krishna says, Vidvan tatha kuryat asaktaha. A wise man also, who is unattached to the results of the action, should also do the karma in the same way. So from outside, you may not know whether this is a wise person or an unwise person, whether it is attached to the karma phala or not attached to the karma phala. But they should do it in the best possible way. So outwardly, karma is not different. A person, we cannot know whether this person is a wise or unwise just from outer part. It's all an attitude inside the karma yoga. Chikirshu loka sangraham means for the betterment of all human beings at large. We should, he tells that the wise person should do the karma with the same passion, the same dedication, the same activeness and eagerness and enthusiasm like the unwise person who is attached to the karma. So that is what Lord Krishna tells us. But he says, but we should be asanga, free from the attachments. And free from attachment, a lot of people say that free from attachment means that this person is a niras person, it does not have any love, does not have any emotions, there is nothing, is a very dry person. It's not that, because this person is full of love, because there is a compassion, they have a lot of inner bliss. This wise person is full of love, but this love is not restricted to particular persons. It is, for the entire human being at large, and they do this does not just out of duty but for the welfare of the people at large and in action. So Lord Krishna says that that's why he is in action, so that people can follow him. And the wise people, they always have a samatva bhavana in the karma. With this balance, they remain tatastha, they are upright, they are not upset by ups and downs of life, and that's why they are very swastha, they are composed in their demeanor and in their being, in their conduct with the world, and this maintains the harmony of the universe. Na buddhi pedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. So in this last shloka for today, Shri Krishna says, don't shatter the faith of Janayet. Janayet means people at large who are generally unwise, those who are ignorant, those who are following the path of karma, they are doing their karma in their own way. For the ignorant who are doing actions with attachment. So for these people, don't shatter that path. So this is a kind of, he tells the wise people. Of course, wise people are the people who don't need any updesha, because they are already enlightened. So they don't need updesha, but this is kind of a message or a suggestion to the wise people that don't shatter, or even for the unwise person, this can be a suggestion that don't shatter the faith of the other person. Because the one who is a wise man, by his own moral conduct, should inspire everyone into action. Suppose there is a person, a wise person as a guru, and an unwise person is doing his karma. A guru, if he tells the person, oh, why are you doing this karma? This karma is going to lead you to a lot of bondage. Instead, why don't you leave your karma and just do jnana sadhana? So this is something that his faith will get shattered. A really enlightened guru will never do this. They will never shatter the faith of the person. They will go down to that person's level and try to lift him up from there. So gradually he will show that person the next path. So that is what Lord Krishna tries to tell here, that we should not shatter the faith of the people. Faith is a very important person which binds us to a lot of things. Most of the times we relate, and that is the adhara or the foundation of our life. And people do have faith somewhere or the other, and it is our own responsibility not to shatter the faith of the different people, because different people have different faith. And faith is one thing that breaks very easily. By just telling something, it can break. But the new faith in a new system takes time to develop. Suppose somebody is doing karma. If somebody tells him, no, karma is not good, bhakti is better. Why don't you do bhakti? Bhakti can lead you to jnana, and then it can lead you to moksha. But that person is not a person who is eligible, because his ruchi, his inner, his attitude, his liking is not in the bhakti. Then for that person, the karma is a good sadhana. For the other person who is into bhakti bhava, has an emotional connect with the Lord, for that person, bhakti may be a better sadhana. So sadhana can be different for different people. We should not try to break the faith of that person. But ideally, we should make their faith stronger in the sadhana that person chooses. Tell them that, okay, this is a very good sadhana for you. If it does good, you can gradually go ahead and go to the next step of the journey. That is what a guru will do. And one should avoid giving loose advice, because it's our habit to give a lot of loose advice to people, and even unsolicited advice, which actually is not worth it. A lot of people have habit of giving a lot of advice based on what they have heard, what they have known, what they've experienced. But advice of only a respectable person has value, advice of everyone has no value. But still, we should try and inspire people not to disrespect their feeling, to empower their faith, to make them sure that they progress on this path and don't shatter their faith. So with this, we come to the end of the session. What we have done today is summarizing the 17th to the 26th shloka. Initially, it started with the Ajnani Mahapurush, the Jnani and the Ajnani Bhed, the Drashti Bhed between the Ajnani person who is involved in the Sakam karma, how it causes bondage for him because it's a selfish karma, whereas the Jnani, what is his Bheda? Till what time do we have to do karma? Till there is Atmarati, Atmatrupta, Atma Santushtaha, means that that person is a Jnani, has understood his Atma Jnana already. Till that time we have to keep doing Karma Yoga, which is the most important sadhana for our own purity, our inner Shuddhi. Then Lord talked about Jnani Kisitti Naivam Kinchit Karomiti, means he doesn't have to do something, there is no motive for him in life, and how he does karma by becoming anasakta, without attachment. We human beings are driven by our raga, dvesha, our likes, dislikes, but we should gradually move towards what we need to do, what dharma tells us to do, what is the right thing for us to do, what is ethical, what is moral, and then gradually this will help us to neutralize our raga, dvesha. And how dharma can be decided. And finally we saw that Shruti, Smruti and Shrestha Acharana, Shrestha Purush Acharana and our self-conscience can guide us to what is dharma. Bhagavan gives his own example, his Swayam Drashtanta, about his own Paripurna Avastha, his completeness, how maybe he does anything here or not. But in Mahabharata we have seen that Lord Krishna has done so many karma with utmost dedication, with lot of planning, though he did not do anything. And he tells us how we should do our karma with atandritaha, with a lot of awareness in our karma, and we should not destroy or shatter or displace the faith of the other person. And that is what a Jnani person, a wise person should do. He should not shatter the faith of the other people and should inspire other people to get onto this path. So with this we come to the end of the third session of Karma Yoga. We'll end it with a Guru Prarthana. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parah Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you.